Today I'm going to make Guinness. Now I've made this before and some of you may remember that I didn't quite go right the last time. I accidentally substituted Crystal Malt for one of the barleys, so I got a very interesting Guinness. So hopefully this time I should get it right. I should mix my malts up and I'll get going in a minute. So what I'm going to try and do today as well is try and calculate the cost today. So I've been looking at the cost of the water, electricity and all the other things, so hopefully we should come up with a fairly accurate cost for our brew today. Okay, right, let the brewing begin. Cheers. One of the largest ingredients obviously in our beer is water. Well, as I'm not on a water meter here, it's slightly hard to work out what the exact cost of the water is. And if we look outside, there's plenty of water out there today. It's raining in the UK, as you'd expect, as usual. Well, our water rates here in Nottingham, in my part of Nottingham, are £180 a year. Now that calculates to be about 49 pence a day. Well, it's pretty unlikely I'm going to use a whole day's worth of water for the household, so I reckon I'm adding about 20 pence. That seems overly generous. So that's quite a lot of the proportion of the water that we'd use today. So 20p's worth of water, that seems like a reasonable amount to add. Okay, so that's the first cost. Okay everyone, now I'm just added the malt to the mash tun, ready for the water, the already boiled water, which is cooling down to 80 degrees C, to be added. So I'll just tell you about the cost of the malt. Now today I'm using Optic Pale Malt, which cost me £1.35 a kilo. So I've used, what have I used? 3.41 kilograms at a cost of £4.60. I've also used Flaked Barley, which is costing me £1.80 a kilo, and roasted barley at the same price. So the roasted barley I added 975 grams, so that's another 176, and 485 grams of roasted barley, so that's another 87p. So in all I've added in here £7.23 worth of malt into my mash tun. So that's the next cost to add on. Here we go, sterilising tablets. This is another cost I suddenly thought about. This packet of 64 tablets cost me about £1.99, so that's about 3p a tablet. Now I'm just dissolving 4 tablets, so that's another 12.4p in sterilising solution that I need to use today. The other cost that might be associated with our home brewing as well, one of the biggest outlays when we set up is the cost of the equipment. So it cost me 300 quid to set up for home brewing. Now I suppose if I was a business I'd have to factor in some sort of depreciation of this equipment, i.e. I've got to replace it at some time, so I've no idea how you do this. So for argument's sake I'm going to say that I'll replace my kit in 10 years time, so that's 30 quid a year. Now I do about 8 brews a year. Now I calculated that's cost me then, depreciation's cost me something like £3.75 a brew. Okay. What about my time? Well, I'm not going to go there. It's not costing me anything to do this in terms of my own personal time. This is my day off, it's a weekend, it's a Saturday, so I'm not going to factor in my own time. I haven't gone mad. This is my mash tun, and I have wrapped up in an old bit of material that I had hanging around in the shed. Now one of my friends does this to his mash tun. They are meant to be insulated, but I could feel a bit of warmth coming out the top of this thing, so I'm thinking, well, if I can feel warmth, that means it's not 100% insulated, so there's absolutely no harm in wrapping up your mash tun in something just to try and insulate it a little bit more. That might then try and extract, that might improve the efficiency of sugar extraction from the malt, so just a little something. This is the yeast, this packet of yeast, Nottingham Yeast. This cost about 2 quid, and what I normally do, you can see this is all vacuum packed. What I normally do is boil some water, and I've got about 110 mils of boiled water, and I've got it here. It's just cooling down in this glass here. Now it needs to cool to below 30 degrees centigrade, because if it's over 30 degrees centigrade, the danger is that you're going to kill off the yeast, and the idea is that once this is cooled to less than 30 degrees, you add it into here, and that rehydrates the yeast, and then you add the rehydrated yeast into your beer when you're ready. One thing I can't stress enough, guys, is that you must keep your equipment clean. Now this is my primary fermentation bucket soaking in sterilising solution, and you can see there, that's the bubbler that goes in, the airlock that goes in the top there. just worked out the electrical cost of boiling my 2 kilowatt boiler for another hour 48 minutes, and it's just working out at about 51.8p. Well, that's on daytime electricity. I've got economy 7, and the first boil this morning I mostly used economy 7 electricity, which is much cheaper. That only cost me 24p, so for the similar volume of water. So if at all possible, try and make use of that cheaper rate electricity. Slightly steamy in the Mitchell brewery now, so I'll just have to open the door just to let the the water vapour come out. Okay, I've unwrapped the mash tun. Let's take the lid off just to see how we're doing inside here. So, oh, look at that. Oh, that smells really nice. So now the first thing to do now is to run off the first bit of extract into here. Look at that. Now this first bit of extract will have quite a lot of fines in it, so what we normally do is we'll tip this back through the top of the grain, and then the grain acts as a filter bed and filters out those little particles, and then just lets the sugary solution through into our bucket here. We've got our water boiler here. This is our reservoir of boiled water. This is then being fed through this tap, through this fine rose, watering can rose, and then washing through the malt, and then that water is then washing the sugars from the malt, and it's going through into the bucket down here. So what I'll do, I'll show you what I do. I just turn on the tap, and then the water comes out of here, so it doesn't lock up, and then just very carefully sprinkle it across here, across the surface of the grain, and keep doing that until all the water's gone and our bucket's filled up. Just a little tip, I've got a plank of wood here because this does actually get a little bit hot, and and also I can just leave this thing and then just swish it backwards and forwards in here. I've transferred my malt extract back into the boiler, so here we go. I'm reboiling this so that when that's boiled we'll add the hops. I've just weighed out my Goldings hops, and I'm going to add these into here. Here we go, look at that. So, absolutely lovely. Oh, that smells fantastic. Okay, that's the end of the hop boil. I'm just going to turn off the boiler for the last time today. You can see I've got my copper chiller. I won't pick it up because the copper conducts heat really well, so that's really hot. So that's going to chill down the wort. It's connected to the outside tap. It's just going to go and turn it on. And this will circulate water through the copper pipe, extract the heat, and hopefully we'll see, oh yeah, some quite nice hot water coming out at the end of the tap. You can already see, yeah, it's quite warm. You can see the steam coming off that already, so that's working extremely well. It's very, very efficient. Here we go, transferring the wort from the boiler to the primary fermentation bin. It smells fantastic, look at that. This is the final deal. We've got the wort in the primary fermentation bin with the yeast all sealed up. Now you can see we've got about roughly 23.5 litres. Well, we started with about 29.3, so we're looking at about a loss of, what did I work it out, 5 and a bit litres, so we're looking at nearly 20% loss from evaporation. So that's the end of the Guinness brewing day. I thought I'd just quickly update you on the cost as I've been going along. Obviously I've been telling you how much things have been costing. Right, here we go. So I reckon malt, hops and yeast has cost me £9.23, water 20p, electricity £1.43, sterilising solution 12p, and the depreciation of my equipment, which I mentioned earlier, was £3.75, which gives me a grand total of £14.73. So that's for 40 pints. So that works out to be about 37p a pint. Not bad. Cheers.